Doesn't seem so. Let me reach out, see where he is.
Who's on iPad? Is that you, Sean?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, but his has his name on it, Judge.
Or then who's that?
No, the iPad is mine, Your Honor. I'm going to use it as my second screen because I don't have one.
Your Honor, the other Michael Pema, he's using my laptop. That's Mr. Tovar getting ready to testify after opening statements.
Okay.
In fact, I may go and change the settings he's got because I think it's too far. I'll be right back.
There he is.
Apologies, Your Honor. I clicked the wrong link for tomorrow's.
There's a lot of links.
Yeah. But this is a fun experience doing a Zoom trial. So
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if a jury would work on Zoom.
we've done one and it actually worked. It was complicated.
Imagine.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start off with the opening statements by the defendant. This is kind of the somewhat old school way of doing this, where the defendant waited to do their opening until the defendant's case in chief. As I understand it, Mr. Shalaki will be doing the defendant's opening. You may proceed.
I may, Your Honor. Mr. Pema, if you can mute your computer so it doesn't echo.
Yeah, I turned my volume down. And I'm muted.
I'm going to share my screen, Your Honor. I may. If you can allow me to share my screen, Your Honor.
Oh, sure. Yes, sorry. Go ahead.
If fours don't add up, it's because the truth was not included in the equation. So let's build that equation today, Your Honor. We're building an equation of negligent hiring, the hiring of the security guard company. Still in progress. That's information that we need and we're going to present to you. Security guard's valid license, yes, with Delta until 9/1/2017, and you saw that evidence. And then let's discuss control. Did the El Paisano restaurant, Northwest El Paisano, have control over the security guard? At no point did we hear anything regarding the cashier, waitress, or waiter, or anyone else from El Paisano making any contact whatsoever with any of the plaintiffs. So there's 0 points on that. Does a hand gesture alone of exiting someone or entering someone indicate control? If that's the case, we're going to have a lot of problem with our tort and civil cases if this means control. So I will give 0 points on that. Mr. Rafael is treating a taco shop on Lombardi like it's Nick and Sam on Maple. These people came on there after late nights of drinking and heavy drinking to get their munchies on and cure their munchies. Did they have security guard again? Yes, valid until 9/1/2017. So let's talk about what happened before the incident. All we heard was lies. Lies after lies of, I went to the mall. I don't know what time I got to the mall. I went home. I don't know what time I got home. I didn't go to Players Club. I did go to Players Club. I didn't have any drinks. I didn't have any drinks. Yes, I did. I had one drink. I had plenty of drinks. Still lies after lies of what happened before the incident. Let's fast forward. What happened at the restaurant? That's a still in progress point that we're still going to recover. But what we know is that there was a commotion. How do we know that? Because Ms. Summer testified that while she was on her phone with her ex, she saw a commotion inside and hanged up the phone on her ex to address what was going on inside. But no one has talked about what that commotion was about. Everyone made it sound so peaceful. So that's what we're going to talk about inside the restaurant. What happened outside the restaurant? What they're trying to make you believe is as soon as they walked out, the security guard, Lockhead, picked them up, dropped them to the ground. But why would anyone do that? Why does someone that wants to work, has a license to work, is a security guard, would want to drop him. That's what we still haven't discussed. There's a lot of fill in the blanks that we have to go. What happened after the incident in the EMS and the police taking her to the hospital? Lies after lies we heard. I don't remember when I got into the ambulance. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember swinging at the EMS. I don't remember jumping out of the ambulance. I don't remember the police handcuffing me and taking me to the hospital. 0 points again, Your Honor. I'm putting this equation in for you, Your Honor. And the next thing I'm doing, my apologies on that. I can't manage these pop-ups. Sorry about that. So lies. Let's talk about the injuries on the lies. Previous pelvic fracture, lies. Second pelvic fracture, lies. Third pelvic fracture, lies. Prior neck injury, lies. Diabetic eye problems, lies. Prior closed fracture of frontal bone, lies. Hemorrhage, lies. Alcohol intoxication, lies. Alcohol intoxication, lies. Alcohol intoxication, lies. Alcohol intoxication at the night of the incident, lies. I can make a beat for you with the lies about the alcohol usage that night, Your Honor. Next, Your Honor, she even lied to the neurologist that she went to. She didn't tell the neurologist about all her previous condition. 0 points for that. Lies. No physical therapy for any of her injuries after the fact. Slip and fall, fracture pelvis again, can't remember, lies. But my favorite lie of all time, Your Honor, and this is where double dipping starts. Stroke. Going to the hospital for a stroke, not knowing that she had a stroke or that she has gone to a stroke. Lies after lies after lies. I think at this point we're at negative 10 points. But the best part, gets benefit. Symptom first appears, Your Honor, on 5/29/2018, not August 2017. And that's what they want you to believe, Your Honor. Lies after lies in this equation.
Your
Let's
Honor,
go on to
I
the
do have
next
to
slide,
object.
which
Is this an opening or is this an argument?
what
Sorry.
resulted from this incident and what were her prior
Mr. Chalaki,
injuries? We
he
didn't
is
hear
right
any
about this.
testimony
This
of
is
any
an
doctors or
opening.
any affidavits that indicating these are the prior injuries, aggravated or exacerbated. We didn't hear any evidence indicating that these are the injuries that were caused by this incident,
Honor,
except we know that she went to Parkland and those were the injuries indicated at Parkland. However, we didn't hear anything else or we didn't see anything else that indicated prior injuries, aggravated, exacerbated.
Your Honor, this is a closing. I mean, if we want to have a debate, I can have a debate, but he's ignoring you.
He's got a job for 6 months.
Mr. Shalaki, you
Yes,
need
Your
to,
Honor. I can't hear you.
can you hear me?
1 second. I'm sorry. Let me make sure my audio. Yes, Your Honor. Sorry about that.
That's okay. He raises a good point. This really is a closing that you're doing here.
I know.
You
Your
should
Honor,
be
I'm getting to my
forecasting.
point. If I can have 1 more minute, I'm almost done.
All right. Well, you should be forecasting what the evidence is going to show, not.
For sure. I indicated what's still in progress and what we're going to get to, what we have reviewed. But going back to what I was saying, Your Honor, I'm going to mute this so it doesn't echo. No doctor knows to take off work, 0 points. No evidence can perform her job, 0 points. Okay, Your Honor, if the words don't add up, it's because the truth is not included in the equation. And what you're going to hear after this is evidence of what happened inside that restaurant. And if liability, even if control or whatever happens, liability has to be established that these were drunk patriots that wanted to have a good time afterwards, came to this restaurant and were responsible about their behavior. And what happened afterwards is no longer the responsibility of El Paisano. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll let Mr. Paisano take over.
Your Honor, if I may, we do request that you take away their time from closing as he just delivered a closing argument. I mean, it's double dipping. I would love to have done that myself, but
Your Honor,
I
if
care
he
about
doesn't like
rules.
my opening argument, that's not even a valid objection.
He's not bringing any evidence.
Behavior.
Guys, let's just move on with the testimony.
Thank you, Judge. May I proceed?
Yeah, call your witness.
Thank you, Judge. I call Mr. Frank Carlos Tovar. Mr. Tovar, you have to unmute your microphone so you can. There you go.
Mr. Tovar, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You need to speak out loud.
Your Honor.
Was that a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go and proceed.
Mr. Tovar, can you pull the laptop a little closer because the microphone, if there's a problem, I have to go back there and just reset
Can you
it.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Please give your full legal name for the court.
Frank Carlos Andres Tovar Sr.
And Mr. Tovar, you have a tendency of speaking a little faster than it's easy
I'm sorry,
for us to listen,
apologize.
so try to slow down. Because we have to hear each other, and especially with Zoom, please allow me to finish my question. I'll stop and then you start answering the question, okay?
Yes, sir.
And I saw you that you're nodding your head. Please don't nod your head to say yes or no. Give us a verbal answer because the court reporter that she's somewhere on the Zoom pictures, she has to write everything down, okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tovar, let's give some background to the court. You do understand that you were sued as one of the defendants in this lawsuit.
Yes.
Now, when was the first time, do you recall the first time that you and I ever met?
I believe that was, I think that was in, excuse me, I believe that was in February. I'm not sure what year. I think it was at court or trial you were at or something like that.
So the
You guys
first
gave me a
time,
call. I have
Yes,
received
sir.
a phone call and I arrived.
so I called you and said, hey, we have trial. Can you show up for trial? And you showed up. And just for the record, I asked the court to take judicial notice. They were set for trial February 25 of this year. So is that the first time you and I met?
Yes, sir.
The leading,
I asked the court.
Overruled.
Well, he's not, okay. And since then, when was, after that meeting that we had, when was the next time you and I spoke on the phone?
It was just this recent Sunday when I got subpoenaed.
So we spoke and about the subpoena, right?
Yes, sir.
Where did we meet for me to hand you the subpoena?
At your office.
Okay, so you came to my office.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the subpoena asked you to come to my office to give testimony, correct?
Correct.
Did you comply with the subpoena?
Yes, sir.
And did you show up to my office and watch the court proceedings on Zoom? Not Zoom, on YouTube?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And did you come in today because you knew today's the day you're going to testify, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Tovar, let's talk a little bit about your background. Can you tell me, and I don't want to go all the way back to your childhood, but professional career, can you tell the court your background in force enforcement? No, it's not force enforcement. Yeah, in police enforcement or what's the word I'm looking for?
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
In law enforcement background. Can you tell the court?
2012, I went to Cedar Valley College Police Academy, graduated, and that was in December. Passed my TCO, became a certified peace officer by the state of Texas. And then I acquired a position at City of Ranger.
Where's Ranger?
Ranger's like 42 miles past Weatherford, Texas.
Okay.
And
Go
I was
ahead.
there about 2 or 3 years, I believe. I can't remember how long. It was a small department. Pretty much from everything we learned from the academy, we had to use everything from our knowledge and bearing and professionalism and all that stuff. And after that, within the 2 years, I became a patrol sergeant there. Went into criminal interdiction. Went through courses and classes, and after that, then left from there, and then went to Coffee City Police Department.
Okay. And when did you resign as a
Did you say Coffee City?
Yes, sir.
coffee like you
Coffee
drink?
like drink?
Cup-
Coffee
yes, sir. Cup of coffee. Yes, sir. It's by Lake Palestine.
And are you still a commissioned officer by police force?
No, sir.
Did you resign or surrender your license?
Surrendered my license.
Do you remember roughly when you did that?
I believe it was in 2018.
So you surrendered your license in 2018. Okay. Now, at some point, did you become a security guard?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that. Which company did you work for first?
Well, I've been a licensed security officer for over 10 years. I started with other companies when I got out of the military. Pretty much, I started with Wackenhut, Alley Barton. I've been carrying my license for so many years. I kept that active as a secondary just in case, something ever happened.
I forgot to ask you, did you also serve in the military?
Yes, sir.
All right. Were you honorably discharged?
I was honorable discharged 4.5 years with the United States Marine Corps.
All right. Thank you. Now, did you at some point start working for an entity called Delta Security Solutions?
Yes, sir.
How did you go about knowing that company?
The partners that I knew, Charles Stewart. I met the other partner later on during the time. Also Lucio Cano, he was a good friend of the family. He knew my cousin before he passed away, so I've known him for years. And we also worked off-duty jobs previously as law enforcement. And pretty much we connected from there, and he wanted to start a company, and he knew I had the security background and expertise and stuff. And he asked me, Frank, this is what I want to do. So I said, okay. So I networked with the proper people that I needed to network and with the state and all that. Kind of got the company certified, helped run it up, put my position as director of operations. Pretty much I helped the company run, acquired the contracts, dealt with any customer complaints and stuff like that.
All right, you went there too far,
I'm sorry.
but now you mentioned that you also worked as security while you were a police officer, as an off-duty police officer.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever work as an off-duty police officer at El Paisano before you became a security guard?
Yes, sir. That was years of the time when I was at Ranger.
Oh, so when you were at Ranger, you also worked as an off-duty police officer at El Paisano.
Yes, sir. The coordinator for that was Officer Tony Davila.
Okay. So El Paisano knew you as an off-duty police officer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about how Delta Security became involved with El Paisano, and I believe the contract that's already in evidence is signed in June of 2016. Can you tell us how Delta and El Paisano joined?
It was kind of interesting. Actually, me and my ex-wife were actually at home, and a lot of friends and colleagues that I was in the industry and also in law enforcement, they sent me a video because they knew I had worked there before. They said, hey, there's a viral video going viral. I said, what's going on? They go, there's a big brawl at Paisano's. So I watched the video, saw how kind of graphic and everything it was. So at that time, I had contacted some representative at Paisano and asked them, hey, this is so-and-so. My name is, Tovar, work with Delta Security Solutions. Are you inquiring security services? And they said, yes, let me find out. If you can, bring your information, whatever, and then we can proceed from there.
So the call was actually initiated by you.
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're saying? Okay. And did you at some point go to El Paisano's to see if you can get their account?
Yes, I did.
Tell us what happened then. What did you do?
It was in the evening. I went to Paisano's, and I had spoken to, I'm not sure who I spoke to, was one of the representatives there. I had inquired about security, and they said, yes, they needed security. They told me what had happened. And I brought a contract from Delta Security Solutions, which was a guard service agreement. I spoke to the partners and the owners, told them what was going on. They said, hey, Frank, get it, let's go, because we're just starting up the company. I said, very well. So I advised them. The initial contract was coordinating off-duty police officers and armed security officers.
Okay. And did you personally take that contract to El Paisano?
Yes.
Did you take it during the day or in the afternoon or the evening shift?
It was in the evening.
All right. So as you go to El Paisano with a contract, did you know who to go to and talk, or did you locate who you needed to talk to?
No, I just left with one of the representatives to leave it with the manager and have them give me contact to where we can set another time and date where we can have everything fulfilled. And as far as to go over any contract issues that they needed to know or any concerns or questions.
And did you leave that contract with somebody at El Paisano?
Yes.
And then were you told when to come back? I mean, what happened next?
I was told to come back the next day. And then I sat down and spoke to, I can't remember the representative, I believe it was Vicky. I believe it was Vicky.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. And the contract was signed and we started service that following weekend.
So the contract shows that another individual signed it, but did you speak to Vicky to finalize the agreement? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. But so did you go back to pick up the contract?
Yes.
And did you pick up the contract?
Yes, I paid up the contract, and as pertaining to the contract, I made a copy for us, for Delta Security Solutions and for the client, and provided them with our insurance and our company license.
And did you give that to Vicky or to whoever was at the night shift, the signed contract?
Oh, the signed contract, I gave that back to Vicky.
Back to Vicky. When you made copies and brought it back, right?
Yes, sir.
And now this is in 2016, and I believe it's June. I'm sure Mr. Raphael will correct me if I'm wrong. So from June 2016 until, let's just say, August 15th, I'm picking a couple of days before the incident.
Okay.
Were you one of the security officers assigned to El Paisano?
Yes, I was actually one of the coordinators. We coordinated, we had several different, multiple officers there.
Okay.
But primary supervisor is what I oversee, Paisanos.
Okay. Who was the other officer that worked the shifts with you?
Officer Obregon, Officer Charles Stewart, Officer Welch, Officer Barry, I've had several officers. I couldn't tell you right off the bat.
All right. Now let's see if we can explain to the court how this procedure work. When you went to El Paisano to say, hey, do you ask them, hey, what do you need, or do you tell them what they need? How does that work?
As my introduction, everything, I explained to them what type of service we provide, and what I do within the company. We did a free security assessment.
Okay.
Based on what the video we saw the issue was the prevention of fights, dealing with intoxicated patrons, and also the homeless. And I went over that with them. I explained it. We all agreed it was the same thing, what they had, plus the traffic flow. So we also wanted to prevent the traffic flow during the rush hours, because it could impede the traffic and people could have accidents, especially dealing with intoxicated people.
Okay, let's take it one at a time. So you went over the video of that incident, the brawl, I think we called it.
Yes, sir.
And you kind of identified the issues. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
And you made suggestions as to what you feel the security should be.
Correct.
And then I think you said you addressed the homeless people.
Correct.
Yeah, I think you also testified to something else, some other thing that you all needed. Oh, traffic flow.
Yes, sir.
Now, we've seen pictures of El Paisano before. The court has seen the pictures. There's two restaurants kind of next door to each other with a little, another small business in the middle, correct?
Yes, sir.
As part of your duties when you signed that contract, was your services involved both? I'm going to call them both locations, one business, both locations. Did you have to look at 2903 and 2911, or was it just for one?
Those for both businesses and also for Carol.
He's pretty much testifying, getting yes or no answers after giving paragraphs of questions.
Judge, I don't know what I said. I said there are two locations and it's in evidence. And I've asked him if his obligation involved protecting both locations.
Overruled, you can proceed.
Thank you. So just to make sure we're clear, you testified your contract required you to provide protection or security guard services to both restaurants next door to each other, correct?
Correct. And also for Carol.
Well, Carol is a different location, is it
Yes.
not?
Yes, another location. Yes, sir.
But that's totally, does it have anything to do with where we are in Lombardy?
No, sir.
Do you know how many miles away it is?
It's a good, I would say 20, 30 minutes, maybe.
Okay. So you were not involved in that protection, providing the actual services, were you?
No, sir.
Okay. So
I worked there from time to time, but that was it.
So let's not talk about Carol.
Okay.
Let's just concentrate on Lombardy. Did you outline what you felt was the necessary things that needed to be done
Yes, sir.
to provide the services that they
What
want?
does that mean?
I'll ask him. I can't. If I ask two questions, just he objects. When I try to ask baby questions, he says, "What does it mean?" So I asked, "Did you provide him with the outline of what needed to be done?"
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell us what you thought needed to be done?
Basically was needed security there to deter any type of crime or deter for anybody for theft of service or to deal with the homeless and deal with any intoxicated patrons.
And
But the main concern was to ensure the safety of the patrons and the staff.
okay, now was that plan agreed upon between you and Vicky or whoever was the person that approved it?
Yes.
Beyond that plan that you proposed, who took control of how that task gets done? Vicky, anybody at El Paisano, or you?
I did. I oversee and I trained all the officers to properly how to conduct themselves at the establishment.
So who would make a decision as to which door you stand, which door the other officer stands, when you go around? Who makes those decisions?
It varied on different nights. It depends how busy and the flow was. We just made judgment calls right then and there to where we felt that was the safest way that we needed to ensure safety.
And when you said we, are you talking about El Paisano or you and your
Me and my partner, or whoever other officers working there.
So people from the security guard company.
Correct.
Is that how it's normally done when you provide services such as this one to a company like El Paisano?
With a interactive business like that, that's very busy, we don't really have time, and I'm sure they don't have much time to be telling us what to do, like no micromanage. So they're hiring us to provide a service, and they're hiring us for our professionalism and the quality of service. So at that time, that's when we had to make sure we had a supervisor, somebody with the skills that has dealt with that establishment or something similar to that, and know how to conduct themselves. So that's the only reason why everything was implemented.
Now, you talked about your prior experience as a police officer in two different departments and being a licensed security guard for, I think you said 10 years?
Over 10 years, yes, sir.
Over 10 years. You do understand some criminal charges, like if you hit somebody, it could be an assault and so forth.
Yes, sir.
You understand those?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the legal requirements of what constitutes an assault, what constitutes self-defense and so forth?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with what your rights as a security officers are when dealing with patrons or anybody that's homeless people, patrons, and so forth at a location where you're providing the services at?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever known Miss Martinez? Do you see her? I think you can see her on the screen. She's one of the ladies in dark hair. Do you see her?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever met Miss Martinez before August 18th and that evening?
No, sir.
Was there anything about her that made you dislike her when you first saw her?
No.
Okay, all right. We're here because of an incident that happened late evening of August 18th, early mornings of August 19th. Tell me about El Paisano a little bit more as far as, tell me about the hours. I mean, what time do you all provide security for El Paisano?
It varied. We were there Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, and we were there for the heavy traffic flow. I'm sorry.
What is heavy traffic flow?
When we have a lot of vehicles and we have a lot of drunk patrons coming from nightclubs or bars.
So is it normal for people who've gone out partying, drinking, clubbing to come late in the evening after that to come and eat tacos at El Paisano?
Yes.
Okay. And you see that on regular basis on the weekends?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And August 18th, I believe, is a Friday. I think we've all agreed that it was a Friday. What are those hours where you get, I think you call it the rush. What are the rush hours?
Well, we normally got there at 2300, 11 p.m.
Okay.
So between 10 and 12:30, no later than 12:30 is a normal rush. It's normally you'll see families and people from church and stuff was the normal flow. We have to really worry about. We just made ourselves present, and that was it. Meet and greet. Hey, how you doing? Open doors. After 12:30, we prepared for the rush. The rush was where we have a lot of vehicles come in trying to park, and they would have to line up to get in because it was just so overwhelming for the waitresses, and we couldn't have them cluttered just due to the fact that it could have been a fire and a safety hazard because it could have been blocking doorways and all that. So me and Officer Obregon, she took one side of the door. I took the other side of the door. Majority I took the heavy side.
Just so that the course clear. So you're saying there are two doors where people can enter El Paisano at 29?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure. You took one door and she took the other door. Go ahead.
Correct. So we wanted to make a controlled direct flow. So pretty much we wanted to hold the line for people to come in. As the waitresses clean the tables and get anything prepared, we're asking the patrons, how many do you have in your party? If they have 5, 8, whatever, we let the waitresses know, hey, I got a table of 5 or 8. They set up the table, we get them in, and then they go through their routine, dealing with the waitresses and all that stuff. We didn't deal with all that.
No, so it's kind of like a fancy restaurant on a busy evening. You have to wait, and I'm going to call the hostess, where the waitresses come and say table's ready for 4, and then the hostess calls the 4 people and they go and
Yes.
sit down, right?
Yes, sir. We didn't start that until later, to the fact once we started seeing how we had to first develop, how do you say, we had to adapt to that, because when we first started, we were unaware of that situation. I mean, I already had knew it previous, but I wasn't really aware of it that once I saw it until I actually visualized how it happened. So then we made that judgment call, say, hey, let's try this, and made the recommendation with the shift manager. Say, hey, we're gonna try this so we can try to keep control flow, because the fact was it was getting so cluttered and the tables are so compact that it's hard to squeeze between. So you can't really just, and the waitresses had to keep a lane clear so they can bring the food, because if not, they got to squeeze between all the patrons and stuff, and possibly knocking over food.
So once you saw how crowded it gets between 12:30 and I guess 2 or 3 o'clock, is that when you made the call to talk to the management about keeping people outside until there's room, letting them so
Yes,
that
sir.
you don't get a lot of people? I think you mentioned that it'd be a fire hazard, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you described the restaurants having too many tables pretty close to each other. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, sir.
So is it easy for me to, let's say 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when it's really packed, for somebody to come straight and go, or do they have to kind of wiggle around the tables? Can you describe that?
As they're coming through, a lot of patrons got to squeeze between the tables, because we're putting extra tables just to try to accommodate some of the patrons, especially when they got big parties.
Okay.
So we try to have it where the big parties was on one side and smaller groups, but it never worked, because for the fact a lot of people were coming from the clubs or wherever they were coming from that evening. They're like, hey, what's going on? It's my friend, let me put an extra chair and this and that. So we were trying to accommodate the patrons, so we could avoid and de-escalate any situation that arise.
And that's something that you were also involved in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And again, you said fire hazard and crowd control, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So had you been working at El Paisano the evening of August the 18th?
Yes, sir.
And who was your second officer that was there with you?
There would have been Officer Obregon.
Okay. Tell us what happened. Hold on, let me bad question, because that will be a 3-hour testimony. At some point, early mornings of August 19th, did something happen inside the restaurant that attracted your attention?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the court, short, I mean, don't tell the whole story, but just tell us what happened and how you became aware of it.
We're outside trying to control the flow of the people coming in. Then one of the waitresses came outside and got me, said, hey, Frank, we need you inside. I said, okay. So I told Anna, go ahead and take care of the main control line as I went inside.
Okay. So you went inside?
Yes, sir.
And tell the court what you saw as you entered the restaurant inside.
I see 2 females. They're going at it with the shift manager. They're being belligerent.
Who was the shift manager that night?
That would be, I believe, Daniela.
Okay. Do you remember her last name by any chance?
I think Ortega, I think it was.
Right. So go ahead. Continue. Tell the
So
court.
I go approach the counter, the bar, to see what's going on. Now, mind you, I can't get through quick because I have my gear on and everything, and there's a lot of people in there, so I got to squeeze between the tables. So, and the counter's pretty high up. So all I know is some words being exchanged between the 2 females towards the shift manager, and all I hear is bitch this, and then there's words being said back, and I'm like, okay, hold on, what's going on? So I'm asking.
Okay, hold on. It's part of your job. I'm sorry. So when you approached, what was your intention? What were you trying to do once you approached the 2 ladies and the cashier table, whatever you want to call it, the counter?
De-escalate the situation, find out what's going on first, because we still have other people in line trying to pay their tabs.
And there are a lot of people inside at that time?
Yes, sir.
Does it look for business if there's a lot of argument going on inside, or does it harm?
A lot of commotion, a lot of loudness, a lot of people mingling and stuff. Sometimes if we see people raising their voice real high, we can just go by the table. Hey, do me a favor, can you tone it down for a little bit? Because we don't know if they're fighting or not.
Okay. All right. So tell us what happened as you approached. Now, before I ask that question, do you see one of the people that was having the conversation or argument, however you want to describe it, with Daniela on the screen?
Yes.
Do you see names you see our names underneath there, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you identify the person by name?
Miss Martinez.
So the lady the name Elizabeth Martinez appears below the screen, that's the lady you saw arguing with Daniela?
Yes.
Okay, tell the court what happened. And you said she was there with one daughter or one girl?
There were one female. I'm not sure who she was.
So two females were up there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell the court what happened next. What did you do?
As I approached, I tried to find out what's going on. Try to tell them, hey, do me a favor, let's calm it down and see what's going on. They're rambling, they're yelling, telling me that they're being overcharged and this and that. And I said, okay, I don't know what's going on. Let me try to resolve this. Let me figure out what's going on. So I asked Daniela what's going on. She's telling me what's going on. And she calls one of the waitress. They're trying to describe it. I think it was over some food, tortillas or something like that. I don't even remember what it was. So I said, okay, where's your ticket? Who's your waitress? I got the ticket. Told Daniela, hey, call the waitress. So I'm trying to confirm what's going on, see if we can get this resolved. And
So you're the one that asked Daniela to call the waitress up?
yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
So as I'm waiting for the waitress to get there, talk to the waitress, she tells me what happened. She says they're claiming that they didn't get their food or this and that. So it was too much back and forth trying to say this and that. So you know what? That's fine. I told Diana, what's your judgment? What do you want to do? If you want, just go ahead and take it off. That way I can just go ahead and get them out of here. That way we don't have to worry about no issues.
Were you worried about something escalating big with so many people in the restaurant?
Yes.
Was that something of concern to you at that moment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because I've seen it plenty of times where people get disgruntled over the bill because the fact is the way the rush, the time to get your food, and sometimes the waitress forgets your food and stuff. And sometimes it's possible where people are being charged for something they didn't even have.
Sure.
So, we try to eliminate that as best we can. And that's why I try to make them understand that.
So tell the court what happened next.
So then I tell Diana, let's go ahead and just take it off, whatever we got to do. Let's so I can go ahead and get them out of here. And then we'll go from there. Next, there were some words exchanged. There was some Spanish words. Daniela had said something in Spanish to me, was telling me, she was telling me I guess she didn't want to take it. I can't remember. All I know, once the Spanish words was conflict, Miss Martinez got upset and she said, I don't speak Spanish, bitch. This is America. And then next, they started slamming on the top of the counter. And then at that time, Miss Martinez, she tried to jump over the counter and was cussing at Daniela. And at that time, that's when I grabbed Miss Martinez and said, okay, you're done. Let's go ahead and go.
Stop. So let's stop until where you said she went over the counter, because I just don't want.
Can you let him finish his answer? He keeps interrupting his answers to then kind of guide him. Let him finish his answers, please.
I was going to ask him, tell me what happened next so we can break it up. That was the only reason. Go ahead. Continue.
As I grabbed Miss Martinez, when she was jumping over the counter, I said, ma'am, we're done. That's it. Let's go, ladies. Let's go. So I'm trying to escort her out, trying to squeeze between the tables to go to that side door. So as I'm going with her, she's being combative, belligerent towards me, telling me, what the hell, fuck you, this and that, and just saying all these high profanity words. And at the meantime, I'm walking around, the crowd inside the restaurant, they're like, woo, oh yeah, everyone's cheering for the crowd for us. For what reason, I have no idea. But sometimes it just gets kind of chaotic there.
All right, I've asked Mr. Chalaki, my co-counsel, to step into the room. Do you mind putting on your mask?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to ask you to, even though Mr. Chalaki is taller than 5 foot, can you demonstrate to the court when you said you began to escort her out, how you attempted to escort her out of the restaurant?
Okay. Now, mind you, I'm behind her and I'm trying to get her out. I'm trying to squeeze between the tables. I got all my gear, so me and her can't fit between the tables.
Can you stand sideways so the court can see where your hand is? Well, both of you, sideways. Okay, show us.
So I'm trying to grab her out like that. And as a natural defensive tactic, we go ahead and grab the wrist just to have control. So that way, if they try to pull back or try anything else, that we control and we start leading them out to the way we need to go. So at that time, I'm sorry. So at that time, I couldn't control her because the fact I'm trying to squeeze to the table with all my gear plus me and her. Okay.
You keep saying gear. What do you mean by gear?
My duty belt.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right.
And then at the time, I'm placing my hand behind her back, trying to push her out, trying to escort her out like this, just guiding her. Now, come on, let's go. Using hand gestures, as I always do. Saying, let's go. Trying to get up to the door. which I thought everything was already done. And at that time, that's when everything else started to ensue. So the daughter, whatever, she's cussing at me, calling me bitch ass, calling me all these other words, fuck you, this and that. And I'm telling Miss Martinez, I said, ma'am, I need you to chill out. She starts throwing cuss at me. She was trying to provoke to come back in.
Hold on. You already went too far. So let's go back.
Sorry.
I only want you to talk about what happened.
Overall,
inside
Mr. Raphael.
what happened inside the restaurant. We'll stop and we start again after you leave the restaurant. So you were showing the court how you were escorting her outside to the outside, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And
So as I'm trying to squeak, like I'm trying to control him and have her in this tactic right here.
Okay.
It's impossible. So I had to lead. She's gonna have to lead herself out. So I have my hand behind her back and just slowly easing her out.
it was that because of the spacing issue and the tables?
Yes, sir.
Was she moving? Was she actually walking out with you at that time?
At the time, she was. Everything was compliant.
And where was her daughter while you're doing this?
I'm honestly, I can't remember because I had my partner, Officer Abdurgan. She showed up. In the meantime, when she saw everything was ensuing, and then I'm not sure if she took care of her or whatever.
All right. So I'm going to ask Mr. Chalaki to step aside, and if you can sit down, I'll ask up. But I do need Mr. Chalaki to. Well, no, you can come back. You can come back, Sean. Have a seat, Mr. Tovar. So you talked us through the time that you escorted it out, and I think you described how you had one hand on her left hand and another hand behind her, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're positive about that?
Yes, sir.
So did you have to open the door to exit the restaurant, or was the door open?
No, I had to open the door.
And who opened the door?
I did.
So you used one of your arms to open the door.
Open my door with my left hand and then eased her out.
So now you're outside.
Yes, sir.
Once you stepped outside, tell the court what you did, and don't go too far. I mean, try to break it up into parts so we can understand and ask questions. You're outside. What happens next?
So Ms. Martinez starts getting more irate, and so is the other female with her. What the hell? No, this and that. And I'm like, look, I don't know what's going on. Y'all gotta calm down. I said, you cannot be jumping on the counter and everything. You cannot go back in. Your service is no longer rendered here. And that's it. I need y'all to vacate the premises. Ms. Martinez kept trying to approach me. I said, ma'am, I need you back up. Please back up. And at the time, I smelled alcohol coming from her. I said, ma'am, you're intoxicated. I'm trying to let you make it. I said, please. I said, I'm not trying to send you to jail. Just go ahead and go. Let's call it a night. I said, you can come back tomorrow if you want to. Okay. And then at the time, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did she comply?
No.
What did she do next?
So at the time, she kept on trying to provoke. I said, ma'am, look, I'm warning you, please do not. I said, if not, you're going to be subject to being arrested for public intoxication. I said, I don't want to do this. I need you to go ahead and vacate. At that time, when I said about subject being arrested, that's when the other daughter started to become more irate and belligerent, started cussing at me, throwing profanity at me. I said, ma'am, I need y'all to chill out. I said, ma'am, you need to stay right there. Let me deal with her, and then I'll talk to you in a minute. Okay. So then, for some reason, Ms. Martinez, I don't know what happened whatsoever. So I said, ma'am, you need to go ahead and go. And all of a sudden, she got real irate, and at the time, she tried to swing at me. When she tried to swing at me, I ducked. I moved away, and that's when I went for a defensive tactic, did for a wrist lock, and then I went to an arm bar, and that's when I brought her down.
Slow down so we understand. You did what? You said two things.
I did a defensive tactic.
Can you show us? Can you show us with Mr. Chalaki? Let's have Mr. Chalaki take a swing at you if the court permits him.
I went wrist lock, and then arm bar, and bring him down. As I'm going down with her. Okay. At that time, once I have her in control on the ground, I take my handcuffs, place one handcuff on her. Okay. The moment I put one handcuff on her, that's when she became fight or flight. She started squirming like you see in UFC when they're pinned down, started squirming. She started kicking my knees, started fighting with me. And then as I'm trying to get the other arm to place her in custody, she bites my arm, sticking her nails deep in my arm. And then she grabs my testicles 2 to 3 times, squeezing them.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That time after that was done, that's when I administered pepper spray.
Hold on. Okay, Mr. Chalaki, can you step aside and let him sit down? And I think we're done with you, Mr. Chalaki. Thank you, sir. So you described to the court how you brought it down, and that technique has a name, which
it's called a defensive tactic. It's called an arm bar.
Okay, arm bar.
It's a control tactic.
Okay, And that's how you brought it down. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you did go down with her, or you did not?
I did go down with her.
In fact, the way you showed it requires you to go down with her, right?
Yes, sir.
Because otherwise you would be letting go of the arm.
Yes, sir.
So I think you testified that as soon as you got her down on the ground, you put one handcuff on her?
Yes, sir.
And were you in the process of putting the second handcuff on her?
Yes, sir. And that's when she became, that's when she started fighting with me.
Okay. And then there's been a lot of talk about who pepper sprayed Miss Martinez.
I did.
Can you tell the court who pepper sprayed Miss Martinez?
I pepper sprayed Miss Martinez.
Uh,
Oh.
Okay, now you can remove your mask. As a result of pepper spraying somebody from that distance, which I assume was close, did you get any pepper spray in your own eyes?
Yes, I got backlash. But since we've already been trained for that, we've learned how to adapt to where we fight through it with it.
Okay. And then were you able to place so after pepper spray, were you able to place the second handcuff on her?
As I was attempting to place her, the other second handcuff behind her back, that's when the daughters, they were also trying to jump in. So where Officer Obregon was trying to prevent them from jumping in because they became more irate. And then there was another female came from outside the parking lot. So they were trying to jump in as I was dealing with Miss Martinez, trying to place her in custody.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And they're cussing and everything. They're telling, oh, we're going to whoop your fucking ass, this and that. I said, we got family. That's Dallas Sheriff's Office. I'm calling them right now. So there was one female, I know she was on the phone. She was calling somebody saying, oh, you're going to go to jail because I have a cousin or family that works for Dallas Sheriff's Office, this and that. I've heard plenty of stories. So at the time, it was nothing pertaining to where I needed to be concerned because I had my partner. She was containing it.
So I'm going to call her Anna because I can't say, well, it is Obregon, right? Obregon?
Yes.
So while you're dealing with Ms. Martinez, Obregon, you said was dealing with the other young ladies, the
Yes,
two or three
correct.
other females? Okay. Do you think any of them got pepper spray or whatever you call it, overspray?
It's possible. I mean, it was a backlash of being it's spray, so it could have been to the weather, whatever. There's always possible backlash of everybody getting it.
Can you tell the court why it's important that while you're trying to subdue or arrest or control somebody, that you don't let others who are related to that person to get close to you?
For the safety of the others and for the safety of myself, for the simple fact is that I am carrying tools that can be used as lethal weapon, that where it can endanger somebody else.
So part of it was also, you said, for your own safety, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is it normal protocol to try to keep everybody else away so you can do what you need to do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that the standard care that you've been taught to do?
Yes, sir.
You don't want 10 people over your head?
No, sir.
Okay. Once you had Miss Martinez in both handcuffs, what did you do next?
As I was attempting to place the second handcuff, that's when the girls, like I said, they were getting more irate, whatever, and Officer Obregon was dealing with them. One of the girls said, oh, she has a broken shoulder. So I took that into consideration, heard that in my ear, so that's why I placed her in front. Our protocols normally place somebody behind.
Okay.
But I heard that in consideration, and since the situation is already dealt with, it's already de-escalated because I only used the necessary force that I needed to use, place the handcuffs in front of her.
Okay.
After that's done, we go ahead and establish decontamination protocol for pepper spray.
Tell the court what that means. Since hold on, that protocol is used because pepper spray was used?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell the court what that protocol means.
I had caught one of the waitresses, told them to go give me a couple bottles of water. So I started pouring water on Miss Martinez, try to get her eyes to flush them out so you can flush the pepper spray. That's how you need to do is keep your eyes flushed, pour the water.
Okay.
So at that time, is that the girls would become more irate, and it was just too much of a hassle. So I said, you know what? Here's a bottle of water. Pour the water on her, get her to decontaminate. I'm sorry, I can't say the word. To take the pepper spray out, to flush it out.
Decontaminate.
There you go. Yeah. The word is, I'm sorry. At that time, I notified EMS. I called 911.
That was my next question. Did you initiate a call to the authorities?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we already have something in exhibit, and if I may show them, Judge. Your Honor, I believe exhibit 16 is already in. May I show it? defense 16.
Wait a second. Plaintiff 16 or defendant 16?
Defense 16, Your Honor. It's the incident report. It's not the, it's
It
the,
is. Defendant 16 is in.
let me, may I share my screen?
You may.
So how much time do you think had lapsed from the time that she was in both handcuffs until you called the police?
EMS arrived
No,
because
no. From the time she's in handcuffs until you called the police, not when they arrived.
After that situation, once I gave the girls the bottled water to decontaminate her, I would say maybe 10, 15 minutes, maybe.
All right, we have can you see this document?
Yes, sir.
All right, it shows that it shows you calling. Do you see the name of the caller, Tovar
Yes, sir.
Security? And it shows that the call was made at 2:46, almost 2:47.
Correct.
And then, so I just want to confirm, that's you calling, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then who arrived first when you called? Hold on, strike that. Did you call 911 or did you call a special number for EMS?
No, I called 911.
So it's a 911 call.
Yes, sir.
And you said, ask for help, correct?
Yes, I said I need EMS.
Okay. And tell us what happened next.
As the dispatch transferred me to EMS, they asked me what was the situation. I advised them who I was. There was security here at 2911 Lombardi Lane at Paisanos. I said I have administered pepper spray and the female is in custody. And they notified EMS and Dallas Police Department.
Okay, let's look at this. This is already in evidence. This is the EMS, Dallas Fire Rescue. It shows that they received the call at 2:49. So within 2 or 3 minutes, EMS has been notified, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it says that they arrive on the scene in about 3 minutes, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, are you aware whether there's a EMS or fire department across the street from El Paisano or not?
Yes.
So they're very close to El Paisano.
Yes, sir.
So tell the court now EMS arrives. Where is Miss Martinez at this time?
She's with her daughter, trying to hold her. I'm telling her daughter to hold her up. Don't let her on the ground. And at the time, so once EMS got there, that's when I noticed she started becoming unresponsive.
Okay.
So that's when her daughter started freaking out and says, she's not moving. And so at the time, that's when I told the EMS, I said, hey, now she's not being responsive. She was just responsive until y'all arrived. So I don't know what's going on.
And were you there when the EMS were attending to Miss Martinez?
Yes.
In fact, we've seen videos that shows you standing kind of behind her, away from the EMS personnel.
Yes.
And we can show you the video if you want. And did EMS take over from that point on, or were you still in control of the situation?
No, once EMS arrives, they take over.
Okay.
I spoke to the EMT supervisor,
Okay.
advising what was going on, this and that, and he's the one that made the judgment call to go ahead and uncuff her.
Okay.
And that's when me and him got in a piss match contest. Excuse my language, but we got in a piss match contest for the simple fact because that's not the proper protocol. For the simple fact is that we dealt with somebody that's been combative and belligerent. It should have waited till law enforcement came there and make that decision to tell us to uncuff, to unrestrain the subject.
But you did comply with EMS's request to
Yes, sir.
take the handcuffs off, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I believe we saw you. I don't know if you saw it or not, but that was on the video as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you see the EMS personnel speak to Miss Martinez?
Yes.
And we saw some of it, not all of it, but some of it. Did you see while Miss Martinez was still at El Paisanos and before being placed in the ambulance, did you at any time see her communicate or talk to the EMS personnel answering their questions?
Yes. One of the EMS had told her to squeeze their hand, and she squeezed her hand.
Okay.
And another time they brought their bag to, I guess, to check the, blood sugar or so, I don't know. So, and then at that time, that's whenever she was already handcuffed, and they helped her up and they walked her to the ambulance where they pulled out the gurney outside of the ambulance, which was out in the box truck, which is on the main street. I mean, not the main street, but right there on the corner. And
because there's a step, right, where she was.
Yes, sir.
So there's a step.
Yes, sir. There's a stairwell right there in that corner. She went down there and they walked her up and they put her in there.
And you saw them place her in a gurney,
Yes,
Or
and then they
stretcher.
lifted her up and put her inside the ambulance.
and you saw all these with your own eyes.
Yes, sir.
While they were doing that, did the police arrive at any time while the ambulance was there?
The police arrived after the EMS already was backing out transporting.
So as the ambulance is leaving, the police officers finally arrive.
Yes, sir.
Now, were Miss Martinez's daughter still at the scene?
Yes, sir. They're irate. They're saying they're videotaping. They're calling whoever they need to call that works with Dallas. They're harnessing about Dallas Sheriff. We got Dallas Sheriff on the way. My cousin. So I said, okay, that's fine. You know, it's not my first rodeo dealing with, you know, somebody that's, you know, upset because of what happened. You know.
I forgot to ask you this question. While you were bringing Miss Martinez down and placing handcuffs on her, did you at any time place your knee on her chest?
No, sir.
Would that even be necessary?
That wouldn't be necessary because it's impossible because she went face down as I go with her.
Okay.
So they would be in the back, but I didn't even put my knee. I don't need to put none of my weight on them because it's just a control technique. That's all it is.
Okay. All right. So when the officers arrived, did they speak to you?
Yes.
Did the officers, to your knowledge, speak to Miss Martinez, or was she already loaded up? Or
No, she was already loaded up. The officer tried to talk to the females, and they just became like, "Fuck you, we don't want to say shit to you, whatever." And so the officer said, "Okay, fine. Then you don't want nothing. Then I'm done here." He got my information. The DPD officer got my information. I gave him my credentials. He asked who I worked for. He went to his car to run his computer checks and everything. Said, "Okay, you're good, you're clear." Gave him my stuff back, and he said, "Let me get your information." I said, "Okay." So I gave him my information. And the girls are screaming, "We want your badge number. We want Tovar's badge number, this and that." And they said, "Hey, they want your badge." I said, "Go ahead." Gave him my badge number, my contact information, my date of birth, and all that. And he wrote on a notepad, and he ripped it off, and he gave it to him. And they yanked it from his hand, and that was it.
And how long were the police at the scene?
I would say probably not that long because he had to leave because he got called the assistant call. So I don't know if it was related to the same thing or not. He said, "I got to go. I got an assist call." So it was something about EMS. I don't know what it was about.
Well, we know, but I gotta walk you through it. So did Miss Martinez, so the police left, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I believe the two ladies you're talking about, one of them is named Summer and the other one is named Monique. And they're Miss Martinez's daughters.
Okay.
Did those two ladies also leave before or after the police left?
After.
So they were still there when the police left?
Yes, and after they were still there once the ambulance left too.
Okay, all right. What did you do next?
I went on about my business. I cleaned myself up, put some alcohol. I had it in my car, had my little first aid kit. Just put some alcohol, make sure it wasn't infected, whatever, peroxide. And that was it. And then some of the pages like, "Man, I can't believe she did that. She grabbed your balls, man. Dang, man, you know, I would have done this, I'd have done that." So that's not the, I said, "No, bro, that's illegal." So, and that was it.
Mr. Tovar, I'm going to ask you some very quick, short answered questions, so please just answer them. Did you at any time grab Miss Martinez inside the restaurant over the shoulder to take her outside?
Just when she jumped on the bars where I grabbed her on her left side and right there on her arm right there to get her off the counter.
Okay. So is that the only time that you grabbed her with two hands around the shoulder or upper body?
Yes, sir.
And then you described how you escorted out, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think you also described how you had to kind of walk your way through the restaurant with the tables. Now, what would have happened if a fight had broken out inside? What were you fearful of?
Fear for someone going for a weapon or going for one of our tools to where it can endanger somebody.
You mean somebody else in the restaurant as well?
Yes, sir.
So were you trying to prevent what I call a brawl?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Martinez has testified that you barely spoke to her. Other than what you already told the court about your conversations with her outside, did you have any other conversations with her?
No. Like I said, it was just the simple conversations that I always will have if an incident happens. I try to de-escalate the situation before any force is used. Anytime any force is used, we have to write an incident report.
Okay.
So I try to alleviate that. I don't have time for reports. It was supposed to be a simple job where we just be there to be deterrent. provide security, ensure the safety of the staff and the patrons. That's it.
Okay. Anything else about that evening that stands out for you?
I mean, we deal on a day-to-day basis. At Paisano.
I misunderstood. Did you say you did write a report or did not write a report?
Yes, sir. I did write a report.
And have we seen the report yet?
Well, that was my next question. Who did you give that report to?
I gave that copy to BCFI, and then also gave a copy to, I believe it was Vicky.
Okay. During the whole ordeal, did you ever physically touch any of Mrs. Martinez's daughters?
No.
So they did keep their distance where you did not have to come into.
Well, they got real close because they were overpowering Obregon, but it wasn't like where I pushed them off or anything. It was like where I helped Obregon to ease them off, where I'm pushing Obregon's back to push them off, because there was some times where they did get in the middle of the encounter where I'm trying to deal with Miss Martinez.
Okay, now let's go back. Now we talked about the incident. Now let's talk about some of the other detail that we need to clarify.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned a company named
FI.
BCFI. What does that stand for?
Bureau Crime Force. Crap, I forgot. Bureau Crime Force Investigations, I believe.
Okay, all right. Why would you have given that to that company and not to Delta?
Because I was no longer with Delta. We were with BCFI. The contract got transferred to BCFI.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How did that transfer or change of security office take place?
When Delta no longer wanted it, it was Lucio Cano. He was changing. He didn't want the image perception as far as some of the contracts that we had. We had obtained some strip clubs, which me, him, and Stewart had worked, but it was very vague, and it was validated to where it was parking lot for the valet. It wasn't really pertaining to the strip club, it was just in the vicinity of it. He didn't like that one. There were some special events where I did some bodyguard details, like for some artists and stuff. He didn't like those. So when it came to Paisanos, he's like, hey, we're going to terminate this. So the other partner, Stewart, was like, hey, Frank, we need to figure out this because this is a good contract. I said, okay. So I had called another colleague, which had an existing company, was BCFI, which was Warren Williams. And I told him, hey, I got this contract, this and that. Can you help us out? Say, good to go. So me and Charles Stewart, and me being a representative of Delta still at that time, and Stewart being the partner, signed off on it. And then that's when we were going to part ways with Delta. Sending that Delta was no longer providing services to El Paisanos. And I gave Vicky a new contract with BCFI.
Stay with me. Stay with me. You went there too fast.
I'm sorry.
So Mr. Cano was the one who says he doesn't want the El Paisano contract anymore.
Correct.
Okay. But you and Stewart, is that his name, Stewart?
Yes, sir. Stewart was one of the owner partners of Delta.
Of Delta. But you all wanted to keep it.
Correct.
So
and since he was still part owner, I was still following under his directions too, because there was 3 partners in the company.
Okay. So you and Stewart contacted a third person. What was his name?
Warren Williams.
And what did Mr. Warren Williams have a security guard company?
Yes, sir.
And did you all decide to take that contract to BCFI? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now let's talk about you. Did you hear Mr. Cano testify yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He testified that he personally hand-delivered a letter to Griselda Ramirez.
He's never met Griselda. He's never met anybody. Out of my contracts that I had accumulated for Delta, he rarely met with management. I dealt with the management. He's never even stepped foot at Paisanos to meet any of the owners or managers.
Okay. Why would you have gone to see Vicky to propose the new contract?
Because the contract was ending with Delta.
I understand, but why give it to Vicky?
Because at the time I thought she was the owner.
You thought Vicky was the owner?
Yes, because she was the one that wrote our checks. She's the one that paid us. She's the one that always coordinated anything, if any changes or if we needed extra officers on holidays.
And she was the one that decided to have.
Yes.
Had you met Vicky before?
Yes.
How often would you say you had met Vicky? I mean, try to explain, once a week or maybe 10 times or
once in a blue moon. Actually, it was once in a blue moon. It would be only the time if the check wasn't ready. She would call me, say, hey, I got the check ready here at the office. And it would be a brief summary. and I would just give her a brief rundown how the weekend went, any issues or anything with the staff, or anything that I saw that was a security concern.
So the alleged letter terminating Delta's relationship with El Paisano, who took that letter?
I did.
Who did you go alone?
Oh, it was by myself, but it was with the authorization from Charles Stewart.
And who had signed that letter?
Myself being a representative, and then Charles Stewart as being the owner.
Now let's make sure that we're all on the same page. Now we're switching to BCFI, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Your Honor, can the court take judicial notice instead of saying Bureau Crime Force Investigators? We're just going to use the initial BCFI.
It's fine.
So, did you take a new contract to Vicky?
Yes.
And what happened? Did Vicky acknowledge it?
Vicky acknowledged it, and then I gave her the copy of the insurance and the company license.
When you say insurance, you gave the copy of the BCFI's insurance?
Yes, correct.
Now, you and I spoke on Sunday,
Yes, sir.
and then you and I spoke briefly after the deposition, after testimony yesterday.
Yes, sir.
When was the first time you told me about contract being signed by BCFI?
I believe that was today or yesterday, was it?
I mean, you tell the court.
I believe it was yesterday or today. I don't remember.
About the contract aspect of it, I mean.
Oh, the contract aspect. Well, that was today.
So Vicky signed an agreement with BCFI to start providing security sometime in May, I believe, right?
If that's correct, yes, sir. That's the date. I don't remember the actual date.
Now let's talk about this. I think Mr. Cano testified yesterday that there has been some changes to the regulations governing security guard companies, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Do you know? I think he testified it changed like a year or two ago, correct?
Yes, sir. Switched to TOPS. We had an in-house system. Basically, all of the companies had where the actual manager, who was licensed company manager, received all the paperwork, which was going to go sent to the state, showing anybody that was requiring their level 3 commission or the level 4 personal protection certification, their card, and be updated in the system. But also the manager had to authorize it in the state system, which was authorized, which allowed us access, like say on a laptop right here. We had to put a password, which was only given to the companies, and which was authorized companies. Couldn't be no company that was not operating legally.
Right.
So, and then update the system, putting your employee's name and your hiring date and your termination date.
Well, Mr. Cano testified that this would have fallen under the old system where you would call and fax.
Honestly, to tell you the truth, Mr. Cano, he only learns about security because the fact I taught him stuff. He was unaware of any aspects of security because he had no experience. He's only had law enforcement experience.
Yeah. So under the old rules, I think Mr. Cano testified, under the old rules, the responsibility was on the company to update the state with the name of their security guards. Is that correct?
You updated the state, you sent in the paperwork, but you had it updated still in the system. It was another system. I can't remember what system it was, but it was an older system. And that's the reason why they switched to TOPS, because it was not secured. And for the fact was companies were not following the protocols because you had all the files and documents. Every company has a file of every employee that comes to that company. They have their background checks, their social security, driver's license, a picture of them, a uniform checklist, a policies and procedure checklist. Trying to think what else. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a file of each officer in the company.
Okay. Did you follow protocol or requirements under the law and fill out the necessary paperwork for BCFI?
Yes, filled the application in, gave it to the administrative there at the office. And then gave them my credentials and everything. And then they did the background check to the state of Texas, and then they put it with the file.
Okay. Now, I don't remember the exhibit number, but something was put up, and in fact, Judge had some questions about it. I don't have the exhibit, so I can't put it up, where it showed that you were a commissioned, and I may be wrong since I don't have it, commissioned security guard, and it expired.
Why don't you share that, Mr. Raphael?
Let me look it up, Your Honor. Hold on a moment.
Are you talking about the one where it said that his, there was two of them, one that talked about when he was a security guard, when he wasn't, and it said, I think,
I'm talking about the one that you asked questions about with the start date and termination date. It was a black and
Yes.
white. Yes.
it was inconsistent between the two documents.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on one moment, Your Honor. Still looking, Your Honor. I apologize. This is not the exhibit, Your Honor, but I think this is the.
Is this what you're talking about?
If he goes to the date on top, it had a no. It had a 7. Yeah, that's the one, sir. Is there any way I can gain control of that, Miss? Oh, but I guess not. Can you just come down a little bit more, Ori, please? Yeah, right there. Mr. Tovar,
Yes, sir.
Pardon me, sir?
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Mr. Tovar, this document was presented to the court, and believe me, right above where you can't see it, it has your name, Tovar Frank Carlos Andres. It says name, it says commissioned security officer, and has issue date of 4/15/2015.
Correct.
And then it has expiration date. Do your commissions expire or are they for life?
No, as long as you re-update them, you do the training, they stay active.
So it's kind of like a driver's license. You know, I get a driver's license, good for 6 years.
Correct.
Every 6 years I go take the eye exam, and if I pass, I get it renewed. Is it similar type of thing?
That's something like that. Yes.
Mr. Rafael, would you mind going down a little bit more to where the endorsements, I think that's what they call them.
I'm happy to help. Happy to help.
Thank you. Now, it shows that you, the training was firearm proficiency in January 26, 2012. You know what that is?
That's one of the firearm qualifications.
And then firearm proficiency again, March 5 of 2009.
Correct.
And I think we spoke level 2 training. What is that?
That's when you're an unarmed security officer, when you first start out.
Okay. So that would be the first training you have to go through to become a security guard officer, right?
Correct.
So that happened October 15, 2004.
Correct.
So would it be fair to say that you've been a security officer for like 16 years now?
Yes. That's a lot of years. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So then level 3 and level 4.
Yes, sir.
What are those involved?
Level 3 is your commissioned security officer license, which entitles you to carry a duty weapon, all your tools from baton, pepper spray, and all that.
Okay.
Your baton and your pepper spray, you're supposed to be certified, but they've waived that to where now it's including your level 3. But I've always made it a requisite to just go ahead and get certified, just for the simple fact that way you know how to use your tool properly.
And what is the level 4?
Level 4 is your personal protection officer, which is your bodyguard protection.
So you have all those trainings and licenses or endorsements, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you also underwent a declaration of psychological and emotional health, January 27, 2012.
Right. When you do your level 4, you have to take an MMPI. You have to take that psychological emotional test.
Just to make sure that you're not crazy, right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rafael, thank you so very much. Can you put that away? Thank you, sir. Was there anything other than what you described that would have made Ms. Martinez stand out for you getting mad at her and making it personal where you want to beat her up?
No, I just wanted her. I just try to make sure the situation was de-escalated and have them vacate the premises like I have everybody else that gives us any issues.
Now, you knew that you got a shirt on with your name on it, right?
Yes, sir.
And that you were working for this restaurant, at this restaurant.
We're subcontractor. Yes, sir.
Right. And you can't go far. I mean, if you do something, they can find you.
Correct.
And did you want to keep your job as a security officer in general and also working for El Paisano?
I would love to, but we
No.
terminated.
At
But I
that
mean, I'd
time,
like to keep. I mean, I want to keep my job as security, but as far as Paisanos, they ended service in, believe in late December or something. I can't remember what year.
but
Just because the business got slow.
but in August of 2017, you were wanting to keep your job, right?
Yes, sir.
Would you have done anything to jeopardize your job and your income?
No, sir.
I don't know if you remember watching on YouTube where there was allegations against you that you just brought Miss Martinez outside and without a word being said, you body slammed her.
That's negative. That never happened like that.
Would you ever do that?
No.
Was it required, even necessary to do that?
No, it's no necessary. None. And the simple
No.
fact was that how the incident ensued to where it was for my safety and her safety that, plus she was grabbing my testicles. So,
So you're taller than me, which is not much a credit, but you're taller than me. And Miss Martinez, I believe she may be a few inches shorter than me. So was she of the type of build that you felt excessive force would be necessary to subdue or control her?
No, but technically you really can't say any type or any size because when people are intoxicated, it becomes another level. It's almost like they have Incredible Hulk juice, and at that time, it appeared that she was intoxicated.
Now, the police report that's in the record indicates or states that she was highly intoxicated. Do you agree with that?
I'm not an expert on that. I mean, she did show signs of intoxication for the fact because she had a band that said Kahlua on it, and I smelled the odor of alcohol coming emitting from her, from her body.
Okay. So you could smell alcohol, and you said her behavior led you. What else led you to believe she's intoxicated?
Well, she was when she was trying to walk. When I was trying to get her to go, she was kind of like staggering, and then she just kind of had slurred speech, and and pretty much everyone I'm dealing with there at that late in the night is either coming from a club or got drunk. We don't have that much normal traffic flow where it's just a normal Joe citizen that just say, hey, let me just leave the house because I'm hungry, come over there. It's majority of the time, especially on those nights, because a lot of people avoid that situation for the simple fact of incidents like that. Okay. Or if they do, they go to 2903.
Okay. Now, during your career as a police officer, as a security guard, you have encountered people who are intoxicated before, have you not?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the signs of intoxication?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive that in the police academy training?
Yes, sir.
So were you able to determine during the time that you were dealing with Ms. Martinez from inside all the way to the outside if she was intoxicated actually?
The only point that I assumed she was intoxicated was the descriptions and the signs that I had was she came from a club from Kahlua late at night, and I smelled alcohol emitting from her body, and she was just staggering. Okay. Which are possible signs of intoxication. Right. Under the influence, exactly.
Okay. May I have a second, Your Honor?
You may. Are you almost done? Do you want to take a break?
I would love to take a break just to make sure that I'm done with the questions so I can pass. But okay. If I could take a 5-minute break, or 10-minute break, I would be great.
Why don't we go ahead and take a 10-minute?
You cut yourself off, Judge.
10-minute break.
Yes, sir. Thank you.